they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Amadaya production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Amadaya show. I'm your host, Queen Amadaya, and this is your morning wake-up call. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Now, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. You may be able to tell by my voice. So that's why I'm late, but we're going to get it in. Okay, so everyone, please be so kind as to hit that like button. Thank you. Please like and share. Before we get started, I'm going to have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it, honey. I feel like it's going to be a long day. Nessie X, Karima is here. Anita Harrell, Mel, Claudette. All right, Cookie, Jeff ATL. Let's get into it. Desmond, I see you. Everybody hit that like button. Okay, we the people. Queen IC is here. Okay. With that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Hey, Sheila, 504 Nola's in the house. All right, Tanella is here. Okay, so let's talk about it. So they've already gotten the trial started. It was about an hour ago when the judge took to the bench. And then an hour and 9 minutes ago when the jury and Sean Diddy Combs was brought into the courtroom. Okay, so let's get into these first set of receipts. Now, this is coming from CNN. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go to Inner City Press first, like I always do, to show his video that he got the day started with. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Wednesday, May 28th, 2025, we're going in for what would be day 11, I believe, of the Sean Combs trial. Yesterday, there was a single witness, Capricorn Clark. She testified at great length about kidnapping to Kid Cudi's house, in which she described Sean Combs with a gun in the car, and also 5 grueling days of lie detector tests taken in a then empty building on Broadway in Manhattan, in which a unnamed man the size of 2 linebackers said if she didn't pass the lie detector test. This was a lie detector test about apparently stealing the missing jewelry from Jacob the jeweler after a white party in the Hamptons. It's all coming together. Apparently she passed, but then she got repeatedly fired and then went back with Combs Enterprises. That was sort of came up on like, why'd you go back? And she's, she had a tale of woe, broke down. The judge had kept the jury later than usual so they could get through the day. Now, upcoming today, LAPD, LAFD, or FDLA, I guess it would be, Jimenez, the investigator of the fire at Cudi's car. There's a lot of back and forth about this female DNA and how they can ask questions about it. I have to say, I'm going to toot Inner City Press's horn. We did this filing in week 1, the Thursday of week 1, saying nothing was going into the docket. And now it is. They put belatedly a number of emails from like 2 weeks ago, but now we're getting kind of in real time the arguments that are being made. And it's appreciated. It helps with the coverage, and it also helps people to know why it is that some things get excluded and why some things get in. Also today, Mia, described as another victim of Sean Combs, sexual victim. So the pieces are there. The pieces are coming together. We're covering it extremely closely. We put out ebooks of week 1 and then of week 2, and we'll be putting out one of week 3, in part to say, like, these are the things that we're putting out. People, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Supposedly 50 Cent actually retweeted or screenshot and put on Instagram what Capricorn Clark quoted Sean Combs about him. So it goes. It's quite a hype trial, and I'm coming up to a bunch of tenths of the networks. But we're going to be going in and live tweeting extremely soon, maybe even before this goes up. And what can we say? We were also, Eric Adams. Well, we're covering the New York City politics. We still do. But Eric Adams himself, the current mayor and candidate, erstwhile candidate, is going to be in Las Vegas today at Bitcoin 2025. So will J.D. Vance. We might, if his speech happens during the break, going to try to cover it. The United Nations. Now, we put in a...
All right. So that's the update from Matthew Russell with Inner City Press. Shout out to him. Now let's get into it and see what is going on here. We know Mia is supposed to be testifying today, as well as the fire arson investigator. Okay, so let me see. So he posted that an hour ago. Okay, and then 19 minutes ago, let's get into actually start with the 24 minutes ago. AUSA says, did you respond as an expert to an auto fire at 8925 Hollywood Hills Road? Jimenez says, yes, there was a cut in the roof of the Porsche. AUSA says, what about inside the Porsche? Jimenez says, burn patterns inside. AUSA says, any items? He says, a bottle on the front seat. Now he says, a handkerchief burned, a lighter on the ground. AUSA says, what hypothesis did you draw? He says, a Molotov cocktail. AUSA says, how did you think it got in? He says, someone lit it, cut the roof, and dropped it in. Oh, Diddy, it's not looking good for you, honey. Okay, so then 5 minutes ago, AUSA says the partial DNA profile, was it consistent with a female contributor? Jimenez says, I was told that. AUSA says, do you know what it means? He says, no. She says, do you know if it was possible to touch an item without leaving DNA? The defense objects. The judge says sustained. AUSA says, what happened to the print cards? Jimenez says they were destroyed in 2012. AUSA says, on whose orders? Jimenez says, someone at LAPD. Probably someone who had connections and ties to Diddy. Please pay attention. We've heard the rumors before that Diddy allegedly had some connections to LAPD. Okay, so that's likely why it was destroyed. I find it all interesting. In 2012, it was destroyed. AUSA says, not you or anyone on your team? And then Agnifilo says, I'm going to object to all of this. Can we have a sidebar? The judge says, okay. Now I want you all to pay attention, because when they start talking about sidebars, honey, that's when you know the defense is concerned. And after that testimony from Capricorn Clark yesterday, which we'll get more into because I have more insight and details about it, honey, Diddy is just done. I think his goose is literally cooked. I think that this is just, now we're just going through the rest of the procedures. But Diddy, I think it's a wrap, buddy. I think it is a wrap. Okay, shout out to Tupac and Biggie. Okay, may they rest in paradise. Diddy, you devil. Okay, anyway, let me continue. So now I'm going to go to the updates from CNN. Okay, so from 59 minutes ago, Officer Christopher Ignacio has been with the LAPD the Los Angeles Police Department for 16 years. Ignacio responded to Kid Cudi's home the morning that Sean Diddy Combs allegedly broke in December of 2011. Now, at the time, he was on patrol in the Hollywood division, which included Kid Cudi's house. Okay, so that's right, Root Trackers. Shout out to Kim Porter, also beloved. Now, so he arrived. He and his partner responded to a radio call for a possible burglary at a home at 8:20 a.m. Ignacio testified that he noticed a black Escalade parked outside of Cudi's home when he arrived. The SUV took off up the hill as the marked police vehicle with lights and sirens on pulled up behind it. He said he took note of the license plate but couldn't see any passengers through the tinted glass. Ignacio testified that he didn't pursue the Escalade because there wasn't a crime at that point. Okay, was that Diddy escaping the scene? Now, I want you all to pay attention to something that maybe some of you didn't catch yesterday, but during Capricorn Clark's testimony, when she spoke about them going and breaking into Kid Cudi's house, now, if you remember, Kid Cudi said that he came to the house and Diddy was gone. He said he pulled up to the house and nobody was there. They were gone. But Capricorn said that Diddy and whoever was in there with him, they were still there. Kid Cudi pulled up and kept going, and then they hopped in the truck and followed him and gave chase. Do you all remember that? Once, if you remember that, there was a big discrepancy in the stories. Okay, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, but because Capricorn gave such a compelling testimony, and but she did say that they chased Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi didn't say anything about that. He said that when he pulled up, Diddy was gone. I don't know why there's a differences in the stories up to that point. Okay, so you all remember. Okay, just wanted to point that out really quickly. Okay, so Ignacio says he noticed the black Escalade that was parked outside the home. Okay. Okay, so he says when he pulled up the driveway by the home, about 15 to 20 minutes later, when he ran the license plate, the vehicle's registration tied back to Bad Boy Productions, Inc. Ooh, Diddy, you are done. This is all the proof that they needed to say that Diddy was at the residence. Okay, now why didn't they do this years ago? Okay, Diddy should have been arrested for this years ago, but they didn't even call Kid Cudi back, according to him, with any updates on the investigation. And from what I hear, quite frankly, from a couple of friends, that LAPD is not good at calling people back to follow up unless it's like a murder or something nefarious to that extent. Okay, but so anyway, Ignacio said he entered the home. The door was unlocked. Now, no one was home, but the officer noted several high-value watches and purses. Some were wrapped and some were unwrapped. Ignacio said Kid Cudi eventually came back to the house and they filed a trespassing report. Forget trespassing. That would have been a burglary report. Okay, so anyway, then 44 minutes ago, Los Angeles police officer Christopher Ignacio testified that Kid Cudi was flustered, really flustered, but did not report a gun being involved or that any property was stolen from the home. Ignacio is off the stand. The prosecution did not conduct a redirect examination. 33 minutes ago, arson investigator Lance Jimenez is now on the stand. Jimenez says or has worked for the Los Angeles Fire Department since 2003. Judge Aaron Subramanian qualified Jimenez as an expert in fire cause and origin determination. For those of you who don't know anything about the fire department, the people who conduct the investigations and find out how the fire was started, if there was any DNA or evidence left at the scene, those are the arson investigators. Okay. Now, then 30 minutes ago, Los Angeles fire arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified that he responded to Kid Cudi's home on January the 9th of 2012 to investigate the fire set to the rapper's Porsche. Now, the rapper testified last week that he got a call from his dog sitter one morning in January of 2012 and was told that his car was on fire. During his testimony, the jury reviewed photos of the destroyed car. Now, 25 minutes ago, arson investigator Lance Jimenez said that the Porsche was parked close to the garage. He observed a cut in the canvas of the roof and of the vehicle and burn patterns throughout the seats, the center console, the interior roofing, and some of the carpet, saying there was a bottle on the front seat and there was a cloth or a handkerchief on the center console that was burned. Now, he noticed a disposable lighter outside the car a couple of feet away from the driver's side. 19 minutes ago, the jury is now being shown photos of the damage to the Porsche, including one that shows the Molotov cocktail bottle on the driver's seat. Kid Cudi last week accused Sean Diddy Combs of being involved in the destruction of his Porsche, which was set on fire with a Molotov cocktail outside of his home. During his testimony last week, the jury also reviewed photos of the destroyed car. 16 minutes ago, arson investigator Lance Jimenez said there was severe damage to Kid Cudi's Porsche, but not nearly the kind of catastrophic damage he normally sees from fully operational Molotov cocktails. 17 minutes ago, a Los Angeles police officer and a Los Angeles firefighter or fire department arson investigator took the stand today to provide testimony that could help the prosecution prove the racketeering conspiracy charge against Sean Diddy Combs with regard to Kid Cudi's arson and break-in allegations. This is what trial attorney Kelly Hyman said. Yesterday, former assistant to Combs, Capricorn Clark, provided details during her testimony about Cassie Ventura's relationship with Kid Cudi, whose name is Scott Muscudi, and now how that did not sit well with Combs. Clark testified that she was kidnapped and taken to Muscudi's home by Combs, which Hyman said could also be key in proving the racketeering conspiracy. However, these allegations were not brought to police or didn't make it to a court. However, Hyman says the prosecution witnesses for the LAPD and LAFD, which is the fire department, can still help prove the charge. So it's important to remember that when Kid Cudi took the witness stand, he testified that he believed Diddy caused the harm to his car. Okay, the arson, Hyman said. And so when the prosecution now has the people from the LA Police Department and also from the fire department, they can discuss exactly what happened to the car to help substantiate the prosecution's position. 11 minutes ago, arson investigator Lance Jimenez said the Molotov cocktail in Kid Cudi's Porsche didn't cause the damage that it could have. The gasoline didn't spread fire throughout the car because of the cloth, because the cloth fell out of the bottle, that didn't shatter, causing only a smoldering fire. So it could have been worse. And it also could have likely caught the garage on fire leading to the house because it was parked close to the garage, as he noted. So had the firebomb exploded as intended, Jimenez says the car parked a few feet from the house would have likely spread to the nearby foliage and eventually the home. See, I told you, Diddy is nefarious. Now, 10 minutes ago, Los Angeles arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified that he believes someone targeted Kid Cudi's Porsche. He noted that it was not easily visible from the street and parked in an affluent neighborhood with low crime activity. Another car parked in the driveway at the time was not harmed, he says. Now, 9 minutes ago, the bottle, cloth, and lighter were tested for DNA, but only the bottle returned results. This is what arson investigator Lance Jimenez said. He confirmed that a partial DNA profile consistent with a female contributor came from the bottle and said he didn't know exactly what that meant. Earlier, Jimenez testified that he does not have any expertise in DNA testing or analysis. Okay. Ooh, honey, this is all so juicy. Okay, so now, let's see here. Okay, so 3 minutes ago, they took a 10-minute break. Okay, so we're caught all up, guys, and we're waiting for them to come back from the break. But so while we're waiting, I found this lady yesterday on IG who actually reports this stuff. And I'm going to go to her page because she had some tidbits of information from yesterday. She also had a video of Donat, YouTuber Donat, for those of you who follow him or know him. He was going off on Gene Deal, and him and Gene got into it and had some words, honey. It was not cute. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is Emily's page. Shout out to her. Okay. Let me see here. This is from yesterday. Okay, I'm going to go to where, let me start right here. Man starts a fight with Gene Deal inside courtroom.
Bro, listen. We out here what kind of content? You're not going to tell me what to do.
You can't come up on me.
Bro, listen.
If you come up on me, I'm going to knock you the fuck out.
That's what I say.
That's what I say.
Bro.
That's what I say. No, bro, shit. I said I'm a miss. You gonna misgender me now? Now it's fucking anti-Asian because I'm Asian. So now you harassing me.
Bro.
I am protected by anti-Asian hate.
Go down the road
Now you
then.
misgenderizing.
You can't. I'm not the type of dude that you can come up on like
Bro,
that.
listen.
Now, first of all, that lady know darn well she wasn't no damn Asian. And then talk about an Asian hate crime. He didn't say anything to her. She started with him. But Donat is nefarious. Okay, why is he going in on Big Gene? Okay, trolling Gene. Okay, that's what he was doing. Clearly trolling the man. He kept telling him about how he helped Diddy. And he interviewed the guy who filed the lawsuit against Diddy and Farnsworth Bentley. So Donat interviewed him the other day, and I guess the guy said something about Gene or one of the bodyguards or whatever. But Donat's been going in on him. Okay. Sheila said, yes, I heard about Donat and Gene. Donat claims he has evidence on Gene about an incident back in the day with Diddy. Child, well, give it to the police, honey. Don't you run up on him. I mean, at the end of the day, this is all doing too much. This is just my opinion.
You don't know me, and don't try me again.
You don't?
Yeah, we are. Trust me, but my lawyer will talk to you. You're not done with that, though. I'll tell you that, though. You don't worry about it. You'll get that. You'll get that. Trust me. I won't even threaten you because, again, leave me alone.
He made a video about what? You and who?
I'm not going to even give him.
Today, Capricorn Clark said that after she got fired from Diddy, she was supposed to get a job working as 50 Cent's day-to-day manager. And she was hired by Chris Lighty. But the day before she was about to start, he died. She broke down into tears on the stand. That was a plot twist nobody saw coming. I also want to know what Diddy thinks about all that. Pretty weird that right after she was... Today, Capricorn Clark said that after she
Is on my platform interviewing me, asking me about what's going on. Look, that is Bentley, and that's him. This man I just interviewed. This man just told me Gene Deal helped Puffy lace him and two minors at the Intercontinental Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. Right. So real niggas got questions, Gene. That's right. Like, what are you talking about? Yep. Let's get everybody come out. Hands go up high, make sure. And is on my platform interviewing me, asking.
50 Cent was always suspicious after he found out that Chris Lighty died of a suicide. He hired a private investigator to look into it. Busta Rhymes and LL Cool J also said that they believed that Chris Lighty was murdered. Today at the Sean Combs versus United States trial, Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, got on the stand and said that after she left Bad Boy, she got hired by Chris Lighty to be 50 Cent's day-to-day manager. But the day before she was about to start the job, Chris Lighty died. And as she said that, she broke down into tears. For years, there's been suspicions around Chris Lighty's death. And after hearing that on the testimony today, everybody's reinvestigating now the death of Chris Lighty.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, it has long been rumored that Diddy had something possibly to do with the death of Chris Lighty. And I find it interesting that they say this man took himself out. You know, this is the same thing they said about Shakur Stewart, whom Diddy threatened to kill. Diddy threatened to kill that man for messing around with Kim Porter. And then that man turns up dead and they said that he did it to himself. And I never believed that. Many people never believed it. Okay, Diddy definitely has a lot of blood on his hands, in my opinion, and he needs to go down for something. Okay, because he should just not be allowed to roam around free when there are so many people dead that he had beefs with. All right. Now, we can't prove that he did any of it, but quite frankly, I'm just saying, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, damn it, it's Diddy. Okay, please pay attention. Now, here's one more update from CNN. This is from 2 minutes ago. Jurors on the Sean Diddy Combs federal racketeering and SEX trafficking trial have heard from 18 witnesses so far. Okay, now, so here's basically a recap they're giving before the break. Ignacio responded to Kid Cudi's home December of 2011. Okay, really? I don't need to give a recap because I literally just read all this stuff. So let's just go back to Emily and see what else happened on yesterday.
Lady, please.
What did you do to Mr. G Deal inside the courtroom right before my eyes? And why did I have to get in your face like this and tell you to step back from me? Why did I have to stand in front of Mr. Deal behind me and tell you to back up off of him?
Because it was two men handling the business.
And then what happened? But what happened?
That's for me to know.
But what did you do? So why you not telling the truth? My name is Candle. I'm transparent. I'm
look
true.
how you right here.
C-A-N-D-O-R.
Energy with you, sweetheart. I can't.
But you didn't have the same energy with him when he came outside either.
When he came outside, he left,
Man,
yo.
get out of here.
He left.
Doing it right.
He left, yo. What are you talking? Am I supposed to be ignorant? Why did they let you here? You stink, bitch. Comb your hair. Your hair look like a bird nest. You look like a fucking pelican. You a loser. Lady, please.
What did you do?
Now, Donat knows he was wrong for that. First of all, the lady should have stayed out of it because it really didn't have anything to do with her. And then she lied and said she was Asian. Like, girl, bye. But Donat is absolutely also doing the most, okay? He called her. He said, you stink. Oh, I'm so done. Okay, but let's get back to the facts.
I thought it would be better to go someplace else and have this towards my own house.
I'm done. I am done. Pretty Weeks and just causing a ruckus. Okay.
Hey everybody, here with Brianna. We're gonna do a quick 15-minute live to talk about today's testimony that was arguably probably the craziest testimony we've seen yet.
I mean, aside from Cassie's mom, which was incredibly compelling, Capricorn Clark brought a whole different energy. She really lit up to the Capricorn energy, to be honest. I'm like, I want to know what your life was like with that name.
Brianna just asked defense attorney Brian Steele if Capricorn is really a Capricorn, and he ignored us.
He giggled, though. He did giggle.
He did?
He's like you dumb idiot.
He's always like this. He's always like this.
He's real smug, that guy.
He walks around like this. He asked that one girl, he goes, what's your name? Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. He was asking the other, but then he ignored me, whatever. I got this from him the other day. Okay, so you were there this morning. I had my period. Why don't you talk about the morning?
Capricorn Clark is a former assistant of Sean Combs of nearly 16 years.
Was it assistant? Because I put assistant, and then I remembered her saying today, I wasn't an assistant.
She was promoted 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so she was assistant at one point. Okay.
Yeah, began as the assistant and then was like global brand ambassador. They had, before she was his assistant, coincidentally, they met and they partied together, and then a headhunter called her and was like, I think you'd be good at this job, because she used to work at Death Row. And so when she first started working with Diddy, her first day on the job, Diddy took her for a walk in Central Park at 9 p.m. The sun had set. Him and security, probably I think it was D-Rock, and he said, you used to work for Suge, let me know right now if there's going to be a problem, because I'll kill you if there's a problem. And like he was like so serious. And then they were working together, and then in 2004, some jewelry went missing that she was in charge of. It was after a 4th of July party, right after the Vote or Die initiative first came out. So being patriotic was a big thing. He had some Jacob the Jeweler's 3 pieces that went missing. Couldn't find them for 5 days straight. Security picked up Capricorn at her house, took her to an abandoned building, locked her from the outside, and it was her and this fat guy alone in a room, hooked up to lie detector.
How fat?
5 times the size of her, he said.
Oh my God.
Like a blob. And then
Hollywood creeper's always hard on you.
I know. Thank you for keeping me in line. I so appreciate your feedback.
Well, he's in line, waiting in line.
And he said, if you lie, if we catch you lying, we're gonna throw your body in the East River. And she was terrified. And
Who said that?
The fat guy, the big fat guy.
I should not have slept in, but my cramps were terrible today.
She never said that it was confirmed that Diddy organized it, but she said that she didn't go to work for 5 days, and he never asked, where were you? Where are you? Nothing.
And this is when there was the lie detector test.
Yeah.
So I just got some tea from someone that worked with Capricorn back when Diddy made everybody allegedly take a lie detector test when this jewelry went missing. I was told I am not allowed to post this screenshot, but I was not told I was not allowed to talk about this screenshot. So this is me telling the screenshot. Apparently Diddy made everybody get lie detector tests. This jewelry was a big deal for him. Did he say why?
Why the jewelry was a big deal? Because I think it was worth millions of dollars. I mean, Jacob the Jewelers, and it was 3 big pieces. Should we Google the 4th of July party that Diddy had so we can see what he was wearing? Probably.
I think we should continue.
Okay.
We can put that in later.
Okay. So, and then they just never spoke about it again. She had been working from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. every single day. And when she went to HR to say, I want overtime pay.
It's better than Kanye. He makes her work 24 hours a day.
The HR calculated that Combs owed her $80,000, and Combs came into the meeting, ripped up the paper, and was basically like, go fuck yourself.
But she's still, in her testimony this afternoon, she talked about how much she loved working in the music industry. She didn't care if it was for Combs or for whoever. She wanted to keep her job in the music industry, but apparently Combs blackballed her. So now we're hearing finally for the first time someone talking about how the music industry literally blackballs you, which we've known for years, but now we're finally hearing someone on the stand saying it. And she broke down into tears as she was describing how they blackballed her. And we'll get to that because that'll be at the end.
Side note, she did say that she would set up hotel rooms and that they were not just for Cassie, it was also for Miss Porter. So Combs would go rotate having freak-offs with Kim and also Cassie. That's what we learned today. I don't know if that's going to be reported because it wasn't a huge part of the testimony. Yeah. Hotel stays with Miss Porter once a week. 3 to 4 days of hotel room.
Cece packed up.
Kim Porter was also Jackie Star.
Wow.
So he used Jackie Star for Cassie and for Kim Porter's names.
And then Cece is Christina Chrome. And
no, in my notes for today, Cece is Capricorn Clark.
Okay. But I did hear today that Christina Chrome, who's been mentioned a lot, she worked with Diddy. She's been like his most recent employee. Apparently she has been dodging getting dragged into this because they want to subpoena her. I was told by a mainstream reporter that they're having a really hard time finding Christina to come testify.
She's missing?
And apparently she's not the only one. So they only can subpoena you if they can find you. That is what I was told today.
I bet you her and D-Rock are in some hole in like some cave somewhere.
They're in a tunnel. They're in the tunnel
with like foils over there.
Where Beyonce's singing Ave Maria.
Jesus Christ. Lauren London was mentioned a few times today.
Mentioned a lot.
Now, the first mention of Lauren London was when Puff was sitting down with Lauren London and Capricorn and said, you know why you ain't got a man? Cassie, come here. Cassie, sit down. Cassie, stand up. Cassie, walk over there. Cassie, spin around. Cassie, you can leave the room now. And that's why y'all don't got dudes, because you won't do such shit like that.
Oh my God, it's giving Ye how he acts with Bianca.
That's why you bitches won't do that. That's why you don't have a man.
I mean, I have a man and I would never do that.
You would never do
But
that.
I'm also not desired by the biggest industry guys in the rap game, so...
I mean, I wouldn't discount yourself like that.
I'm just saying, if a guy's like, suck my dick, I'm like, I'm tired and I start like, I'm like, oh, my shoulder hurts.
And then another incident where Puff shoved Capricorn out of his house with both of his hands. Like, if you don't like working here, get the fuck out of my house. And pack your shit and leave. She left. A few months later, came back. She said that Capricorn said that whatever Cassie got.
Yeah, she made it very clear today that Cassie was the one in control almost. She made it sound like Cassie had a lot of power over Diddy. At one point, she said the only reason she was allowed back is because that's what Cassie wanted. And everyone was like, whoa.
Yeah, so we really have to wonder why Cuddy said Cassie was a player. We gotta wonder why Kim Porter mysteriously died. Was Cassie like, if I'm not gonna be your baby moms, like at least give me some shit? Like, who? I don't know. Cassie was a victim, but also like this toxic relationship was constantly imbalanced. And I feel like every time Combs gave her a little bit. Combs wanted to make up for it and would want to wail on
Also,
her.
something interesting today was that in the afternoon, the defense was cross-examining Capricorn, and he said to her, "Do you believe that Cassie Ventura was very talented?" And she said, I would say she had talent, but I wouldn't say she's very talented. And they said, well, who would you consider very talented? She said, well, for me, someone that I consider very talented would be somebody more like Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey, performers, entertainers. And they said, well, can you describe why you don't think Cassie Ventura was that talented? And she said, well, Cassie wasn't really good on stage. She was more of a studio performer. And then they also started questioning Capricorn about Cassie's work ethic and said that towards the end, she was more interested in having a relationship with Diddy than her actual career.
Yeah. Capricorn also testified that her car was a company car, her phone was a company phone, and she even lived in staff housing. So she couldn't just
called
leave.
the Hillcrest.
Yep. She couldn't just leave Diddy. She couldn't just, same with anyone else in his orbit. You can't just leave.
But here's where I really need to make a point. There was an inconsistency today in Kid Cudi kidnapping story and Capricorn's. Kid Cudi's, okay, hold on a second. It's Diddy, he coming.
Oh my God.
There he goes, Diddy. Diddy, okay, I hear you. Just, okay, no, okay, fine.
Damn.
Diddy's not going to let us continue the story.
We're all going to the same
So
place.
is this just what happens in New York when there's this, you just don't move out of the way for the fire?
Okay, guys, so here's another update. This is from 3 minutes ago, actually 4 minutes ago. Before the break, arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified that Kid Cudi had his home swept for fingerprints after the trespassing incident in December of 2011. 2 prints were recovered from the glass front door. Jimenez said that he collected a card with those prints to compare to anything retrieved from the arson incident. Jimenez also testified that the print card was kept with evidence from the arson case, and it was destroyed by an LAPD officer in August of 2012. Well, I wonder why. Okay, did it have Diddy's prints on there? Probably so. Okay, now Jimenez testified that he typically has to sign off on the destruction of any evidence that he submitted as a lead investigator. The defense objected to the line of questioning. Now, during the break, Judge Subramanian said that he'd tell the jury to disregard the testimony about the fingerprint cards. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said that the prosecution's implications within that questioning were outrageous. So basically, Agnifilo is trying to say that, okay, are y'all suggesting that Diddy got someone from LAPD to destroy the fingerprint cards? Well, yes. Of course, that's what they're suggesting, because that's likely what happened, Mark Agnifilo. I know you're trying to make your cash, but that's probably what it was. Now, Agnifilo said they were suggesting to this jury that someone in this courtroom had something to do with the improper and suspicious destruction of these fingerprints. Not someone in the room. You talk about someone named Diddy, sir. Okay, so 5 minutes ago, during the 10-minute break in the courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs left with the U.S. Marshals to take a bathroom break. Combs' mother, Janice Combs, is in the courtroom. Okay, so that's all the updates we have for now. Let's check Inner City Press. Let's see here. Okay, nothing from Inner City Press since 35 minutes ago. Okay, so what do you all think about this? Now, Talk to Me, I Talk Back says, at the original QueenAShakur show, Sylvia says from her observation of the jurors, Diddy will walk. She's live. She's in the courtroom. She also said Steele poked holes in Capricorn's testimony. Oh, Diddy. You know, I don't doubt that, because Brian Steele is very good at poking holes. Okay. Let's not forget he's the one that got Young Thug off. So that is probably very likely. But nonetheless, beloved, thank you for that tidbit of information. Okay. Because, you know, I would have to agree with Sylvia, because I was told by my friend who's also in the courtroom a couple of days ago that one of the Black female jurors like nudged the guy sitting next to her on the jury and mouthed the words, "She's lying." And this, I believe, was when Dawn Richard was on the stand. So, you know, there may be some jurors that are not buying it thus far. But at the end of the day, by the time they're done with all of the evidence and people testifying, hopefully they will find Diddy exactly what he is, and that is guilty as charged. Okay, Diddy, you're not going anywhere but to prison. All right, now let's continue.
If I was Diddy, I would push that ambulance out of my way. Okay, come on. Here we go. Well, it's actually good that the ambulance is here because this is actually what I was about to talk about. So there was an inconsistency. Kid Cudi said that when he found out that Diddy was in his house, that he came home in his Porsche, and when he got there, nobody was there. But today, Capricorn Clark said that Cudi's black Porsche pulled up next to their black Escalade that was parked out front of Cudi's house, and then Cudi rushed off, and that Diddy and Ruben chased after him. So that's an inconsistency. I don't know why the story. Capricorn's saying that there was like a little 1 or 2 minute high-speed chase, chasing Kid Cudi down the street. Cudi said Diddy wasn't there. Did you pick up on that? That was a major inconsistency.
The three-way call part also. Like there's a few things that
oh my God, this is so annoying.
Didn't. Are they turning?
Okay, thank God.
I hope they're all going to be okay. Also, I should say that the ambulance, right?
Now I want you all to pay attention because she also mentions the discrepancy in the stories. But here's the thing. Now let's think about the LAPD officer Ignacio who testified this morning. Because didn't he say, in fact, that when he pulled up, there was a black Escalade and he wrote down the tag number, but didn't give chase when it pulled off because at that point there had been no crime as far as he was concerned. And then later when he ran the tag, it came back to Bad Boy Inc. So that sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like neither one of their stories is making sense. Kid Cudi says Diddy wasn't there. Oh, you know what? No, I take that back. What Kid Cudi said sounds more true than what Capricorn said. And here's why. Because the officer said when he got there, there was a black Escalade. Like I said, he got the tag. It went back to Bad Boy. So he saw Diddy's vehicle there. So when the officers arrived on scene about 10 or 15 minutes after they received the call, they literally saw Diddy's car there. Okay, so the car was still there. But however, they did note, or the officer who testified this morning did say that Kid Cudi showed up minutes later. Okay, he did say that he showed up minutes later. So when Kid Cudi showed up later, that's when Diddy was already gone because he actually left after the police arrived on scene. So that makes more sense. Okay, so I don't know why Capricorn said something about them chasing him, unless they chased him and then came back to the scene and then the police saw them. But I don't know why they would do that. But anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, we're not driving. We know to pull to the side, but can you see that we're not driving? We're in the back of a car.
Someone said you're driving.
They just said always pull to the side. Well, they don't do that anymore. This guy did nothing.
No, I'm making money, honey. Yeah, so there's a few inconsistencies in Capricorn's testimony, which isn't great. I mean, it is a distraction just to the jury more than it is anything else. It does hinder her credibility a bit, where they're like, were you on a three-way call with Lauren London when you called Cassie to warn him about Kid Cudi? No. Well, it says that you testified that. She's like, oh, maybe I did. Oh, yeah, maybe I did.
And then she was like, they were like, if you were so scared, why didn't you get out of the car? And she was like, because I was afraid of mountain lions. And everyone was like, what? But in her defense, I live in LA and there are mountain lions out at that time of day.
Yeah, it just sounded unhinged the way she said it.
I know. Everyone looked at each other like, case dismissed.
Because at that point, she had started, like, it was towards the end of the day, she had been crying. She's exhausted. She doesn't know what she's saying anymore. And then we're starting to fall apart in some different places. And then she was like, I'm afraid of mountain lions.
It was weird. And then also, apparently, this is the third witness that the defense has pointed out that they wrote down the government wrote down the wrong interview points. Like, they were like, do you remember telling the government that you said that Diddy pointed the gun at you? And she goes, I never said that. And they're like, well, then why did the government write that down? I'm right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. So that was a little bit crazy. That this is the third. There was a reporter from ABC News in front of me, and she was helping me like make sure I got my quotes right today. And she looked at me and she was like, "Yeah." She just was like, "That's weird." Yeah, that's the third witness that the government has gotten. Why do you think that is?
What part?
They keep asking these witnesses, do you remember telling the government on this day?
I don't think the government notes are wrong. I think the memories of the witnesses are fucked up.
But they're trying to go out of their... No. They just had these meetings with the government. One guy, it was 2 hours ago, and he didn't remember telling the government that. Remember that one assistant guy? And he goes, you don't remember? That was 2 hours ago. And he's like, I don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do we think it's government notes, or do we think, we don't know which one it is?
Yeah, they're trying to make it look like the government's kind of like in cahoots with these, and like they're making the story. So basically, they said that Capricorn said that Diddy showed up to her house and pointed the gun at her, but she's saying that's not what she said. She said Diddy waved the gun around and never pointed it at her.
And Cassie said that she never knew about a gun being there, right? So she's like, I told Cassie there was a gun, and Agnes was like, 100% you told Cassie that? 100%, 100%. And the judge was like,
times.
Yeah, the judge was like, can we get a new question? And everyone's like, oh, laughing.
Yeah, it was very weird. At the end, she did name Jimmy Iovine, though. She said that
he threatened her.
She got fired from working with Diddy. She was on vacation in like the south of France with Rihanna, and she got fired, and she was upset. She didn't know why. Oh, the burner phone we have to talk about too.
Cassie had a burner phone just for Kid Cudi that Capricorn suggested that she get, because she's like, Diddy can go through your phone, Puff can go through your phone.
She said, you're making this dangerous for yourself. You need a burner phone.
You're going to get us all killed, she said. And then so Diddy was like, who are you talking to? When Capricorn was on the phone, when he was like going through Cudi's house, he's like, who are you talking to? And then he went and called the last person that she called, and it was a different name because it was a burner phone. But Cassie answered, and Diddy's like, bitch, what the fuck number is this? And that's when a few hours later, Cassie came to Diddy's and he kicked the shit out of her. He literally kicked Cassie
20 times, kicking her on the ground while she was laying outside in the fetal position.
Yeah. Nuts.
People, there's actually a lot of videos I need to go make.
Yeah, we both have a lot to do.
It's too much. I just want to eat dinner and like lay down.
I don't think I'm gonna go tomorrow. It's gonna be boring.
You're not going tomorrow?
It's gonna be rainy and boring, and probably.
I just want to know why the LA. I have to go tomorrow because I'm not going to be here Thursday.
And I'll be here Thursday.
Because the LAPD is coming to testify tomorrow. But yeah, we took a lot of notes. We'll give you guys more of a recap. I'll share this on my my timelines for anyone else.
Okay, have a good night.
All right, bye guys.
Bye, you guys.
Wait, oh yeah, BJ the witness. Okay, that was interesting. They went out of their way today to ask Capricorn if she knew that Diddy was at an orphanage in Kazakhstan.
Oh my god, that was so weird. We have to Google that.
Yeah, someone already, BJ the surprise witness has already been looking up the Russian orphanage. That's going to be coming back. They always they kind of like sprinkle things in. I agree. The Jimmy Iovine disclosure is huge. And that video that I posted got no shares. I'm like, all right, you guys literally asked me to show you big names. So I rushed out of that courthouse to give you big names and you didn't care. So that's fine. Someone will care. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. What's your name? Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. He was asking but then he ignored me, whatever. I got this from him the other day. Okay. So there was one inconsistency today in Capricorn Clark.
Okay, so we've already heard her talk about the inconsistency. With that all being said, here's the latest update. So hold on. Let me see where I start. Okay, so before the break, arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified that Kid Cudi had his home swept for fingerprints after the trespassing incident in December 2011. 2 print cards were recovered. Okay, I think I read that when they destroyed the cards. Okay, so 16 minutes ago, during the 10-minute break in the courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs left. Okay, I read that. Okay, 3 minutes ago, Judge Arson Subramanian is back on the bench, and the jury will soon be brought back in following a morning break. Okay, this is from 3 minutes ago, so they're probably not back in yet. During the break, Sean Diddy Combs' legal team hovered around one table, 3 on one side, all whispering. Honey, what are they whispering about? Diddy's 3 sons just arrived. One son has his arm draped around his grandmother's shoulder. Okay, 2 minutes ago, defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro says the defense moves for a mistrial based on prosecutorial misconduct. Do you all hear this? Didn't I tell you all this? Didn't I tell you all this, that they were going to try to move for a mistrial due to prosecutorial misconduct? I told you all this like last year. Okay, do y'all remember me talking to you all about the prosecution? I want y'all to pay attention. Some prospective jurors said during jury selection that they believe Sean Diddy Combs could buy his way out of things, Shapiro says. This type of conspiracy theory is out here, and the type of implication we believe these questions were designed to create plays right into that. Honey, they want a mistrial. Do you hear me? I told you all they was going to try it. Okay, I told you all they was going to try it. Okay, prosecutorial misconduct. Didn't I tell you all that the feds have been doing shady stuff? Didn't I tell you all that they was going to mess right around and try to get Diddy a darn mistrial, because the feds have been doing shady stuff all along. They've been leaking information to the New York Post, according to who? The New York Post. Anonymous agents, okay? They've been given tidbits of information. They've been doing shady things as it pertains to the exhibits that should be turned in. And if you remember, when I played the video for you this morning with Matthew Russell, and he was basically talking about some of the paperwork that had not been filed to the docket, and that it's just now getting to the docket yesterday. Well, I have that paperwork because he sent it to me. And I was like, okay, this is from weeks ago. That's why I really didn't go over it with you guys, because we've already crossed those, that bridge. But I'm like, this is from weeks ago. Why in the world have they not, been turning this stuff over on the docket? Okay, this is all a hot mess. Okay. This is all a hot mess. I told you all they was going to try it. I knew it was coming on. It was only a matter of time. And now here we go. So basically, here's why this is a problem. Okay? Here's the reason why this is a problem. As far as the defense is concerned, because what they're doing is they're making implications. Okay? They're making implications. Like, pay attention to where they said something about the fingerprints were destroyed. Okay, so that could lead the jury to imply or to think that possibly Diddy is the one who destroyed it or had it destroyed, even though that's exactly what I think. But we have no proof of that. Our thoughts and our opinions are not facts. So that is something they had a problem with. But also basically putting out a conspiracy theory. Okay, some prospective jurors said during jury selection that they believe Sean Diddy Combs could buy his way out of things. They said this during jury selection. Well, why weren't they stricken from the jury? You know why they weren't stricken from the jury, beloved? Because this right here. Okay, because they could come back and say, oh, well, they said X, Y, and Z. And so basically we should get a mistrial because they should never have been on the jury because they're biased. Now, is it going to work? Well, we shall see. The judge has denied the defense's motion for mistrial. Okay, he said he's denying it. But don't worry, they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep trying. I want you all to pay attention. And here's the thing. Don't forget what else I told you. That even if Diddy is in fact convicted, they are absolutely going to file an appeal and ask for this trial to be overturned, for the conviction to be overturned. Okay? They're going to act like they need this, or they're going to file for the conviction to be overturned because of prior bad acts, just like in Harvey Weinstein's case. Okay? That's what they're going to do. And this will all be, because I also told you this first, because of Dawn Richard's testimony and because of Kid Cudi's testimony. Those are prior bad acts, okay? And they can't even prove that Diddy's the one who absolutely did the stuff to Kid Cudi, even though it is very much so in my opinion, that he absolutely did it. But can they prove it 100%? No, because even though that vehicle had bad boy on it, they could literally say that it was somebody else who worked for bad boy. And in fact, they could even say that it was Capricorn Clark, because she already said she was there. She placed herself at the scene. We have proof that she was at the scene because she said she was at the scene. Diddy never said he was at the scene, and neither did Ruben. So I just want you all to pay attention to her. This is all so nefarious. Thank you, Nicole, beloved, supporting the queen. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Peace, love, and blessings. I wasn't sure if you were even in here because I got started late. I was like, I hope she got the notification. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so this is all crazy. Panther Strike said, right, queen, they're not proving anything. Because here's the thing, like I said, there's all they need is a reasonable doubt. Okay? Oh, honey, let me see what's coming up next. Well, the judge has denied their motion for mistrial, but they're going to keep at it. Okay, they're definitely going to try it again. And here's another thing, too. Adrian says, and Capricorn had a crush on Diddy. Right, she did admit to that. And then she also basically said that Cassie was running the show. But Cassie said she had no control, that Diddy was in control, remember? So her testimony contradicted almost everything Cassie said. Because she said Cassie was running the show, and she also said that the only reason she was hired back was because Cassie said for her to be hired back, because that's what Cassie wanted. She said Cassie got her way and was able to get, to get Diddy to do what she wanted. This is all very interesting. This is all very interesting. Let me see what Inner City Press has, if they've posted anything. Okay, so they say from 9 minutes ago. Okay, so from 9 minutes ago, they say, Shapiro says they should have ended with when the fingerprint cards were destroyed, but they asked, did he authorize it? There's no way to unring this bell. The only proper remedy here is a mistrial. She really tried it, honey. AUSA said that's absolutely not warranted. AUSA then says it was Mr. Agnifilo who wanted to inquire into the DNA, into the investigation. Your Honor can just say that the jurors should not draw any inference from the destruction of the fingerprint cards. The judge says application for mistrial denied. Okay, now from 3 minutes ago, the judge says, I sustain the objections when raised. The jurors have already been told that questions are not evidence. Now, Shapiro says, Your Honor should tell the jurors that the questions were improper. AUSA says they weren't improper. You could say disregard both. Well, now they're arguing over questions, honey. This is all getting real interesting. Okay, so 48 seconds ago, Shapiro says, will the court tell the jurors that the answers are not to be considered? The judge says, I'll tell them that the questions and answers on the fingerprints are irrelevant to the case and not to be considered. Shapiro says, thank you, Your Honor. All rise. All right, honey, this is all getting real serious real quick. All getting real interesting. Okay, let me see if Emily has anything else on here that we might want to see.
Testimony, and it was regarding the alleged kidnapping. Now, last week we saw Kid Cudi take the stand, and he said that when he found out that Diddy was in his home, he came from the Sunset Marquee, and by the time he got there, Diddy was gone. He was not there waiting for him. But today, Capricorn Clark alleged that Diddy and Ruben, the security guard, were in a black Escalade. She was in the back seat, and Cudi pulled up next to them, and they looked at each other, and then Cudi sped away, and then Diddy chased after him for a few minutes. But that's not what Kid Cudi said happened. So that was a little bit weird.
Okay, so this just in from CNN 1 minute ago. The jury is now back from break, and the arson investigator Lance Jimenez is back on the stand, and the jury is now entering. Okay, so I'll keep you guys posted.
I don't know if their memories are just because it was so long ago, but that was one inconsistency that the defense pointed out today in Capricorn's testimony about the kidnapping. So there was one inconsistency today in Capricorn Clark's testimony, and it was
Miss Combs, you so fine, girl. I would drink your bad water. I would drink your bad water, Miss Combs. Now, Miss Combs. Miss Combs, you is so beautiful.
Man, my bad, man. That's my fault. I should have showed you how to work. That's to make it go down. See the button? Yeah, make it go
you would really drink her bath water?
yeah, like that.
Miss Combs, you so fine, girl. I would drink your bad water. I would drink your bad water, Miss Combs. Now, Miss Combs.
No, why is the not out there trolling folks? Why is he out there trolling people? Okay, leave Miss Combs alone. All right, and so anyway, honey, that all being said, hold on. Let me see here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go to Lauren LaRosa. Okay, I have some stuff from Lauren LaRosa. Thank you, Emily, for the updates, beloved. Okay, shout out to Emily. Let's go to, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Hold on, you guys. I have a bunch of clips for you all to see. Let me see here. Okay, let's go to Ray J and Pierce Morgan, honey, because Ray J did an interview with Pierce Morgan talking about free Diddy. Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to use an overlay because y'all know Pierce Morgan did not say I could use his video, but I want to hear what Ray J's crazy self had to say. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. I really appreciate you. Thanks in advance. Okay, here we go.
Altercation with Diddy's son. A lot of people have been waiting to hear what you have to say since this trial commenced. So let me just start by asking you that very question. It's been running now for several weeks. What is your view of how this case is going?
I think it's kind of becoming a circus, and with all the allegations, and now with everybody explaining like what's happening in the bedroom, I mean, every day it just sounds crazier and crazier and freakier and weirder, right? And I'm like trying to understand, with all this being said, like with Kid Cudi going on and saying everything that happened, but then ended up saying Cassie played both of us. You know, it's like, where are we trying to go? Are we just trying to like tell all of these crazy stories and then that equals out to sex trafficking? I mean, it's starting to become outrageous. It's a RICO case. It's really only Diddy and maybe one other person. Like, I'm just starting to feel uncomfortable, and I'm starting to feel weird about this whole thing.
Well, it was certainly interesting last week when I interviewed this guy who had the pseudonym The Punisher, who was hired, and it was Cassie Ventura. Right. So it was a sort of very interesting interview because Cassie Ventura did all the negotiating, did all the payments, and did all the texting to him. Diddy would sit in the corner of a hotel room naked, and he would watch, with her apparent full consent, this guy come in and have sex with her. And it happened maybe a dozen times over a 2.5-year period. Now, none of that says to me that that is a serious crime. If she is the one that is organizing it all. Now, she is arguing it was coercion and so on. You know all these people very well. You know Cassie Ventura. You know Diddy well. When you saw that interview, maybe you saw the one that I did, but when you saw that guy talk, what was your takeaway from that?
I was just thinking, like, what year are we in? Like, it feels like we're in this vortex of like this dominatrix story about all of these different characters that are coming out and the names and the nicknames. And I mean, it's intense. I think that it's entertaining for sure. And it's definitely press worthy. But at the end of it all, it's like, this is what Diddy is being charged for, and this is what he possibly might serve a lot of jail time for. I don't understand it, and I really want to know where this is all gonna go and where does this lead? Because again, it's weird, it's freaky, like the whole oral thing with the 19 guys and the blisters. I mean, it feels like they're just trying to paint these pictures of Diddy, and I was around Diddy all the way pretty much up until the arrest, and all I got from that when I hung out with Diddy, and this is word to my mom and kids, he's always inspired me to be great. When I left, I felt like I could do more for my business. I felt like I had more power because I wanted to be more vocal in running my companies and call my wife if we were getting into it and send her flowers. I mean, these are all the things he was instilling to me and all of the young guys around that were inspired and you know, look at him as a mentor. So now these private things that happen when we were around and never even got a chance to see this kind of crazy stuff, it just sounds like this was a private, personal thing that was happening, and now it's starting to become it's diabolical. I mean, if that's the right word, it's chilling and it's scary for a lot of people out there in this business like us who are trying to walk the right path and connect with the right people when there's things that you do when you make bad mistakes. But this is like an overflow of just complete negativity.
So it sounds to me, unless I'm wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you think that there's been a massive overreach here. This is personal behavior between Diddy and Cassie Ventura that we've seen so far, that it doesn't cross the line from where you sit into serious crime under the RICO law, which of course was, you know, intended for mafia members and so on. Do you think that's what we're witnessing here with this case? That this was consensual? It may be freaky, it may be sexually deviant, it may be all these things, but it was apparently consensual behavior and not a crime.
I agree, and there's things that you know we saw in these videos, they were disturbing, and that's not okay, right? But looking at the crimes that he's being charged for, this is where it starts to go overboard, and it's like whoever was mad at the top.
The best way to attract high-ticket coaching clients is not to spend all your time and money on social media content.
Was really mad. And I think we're here now, and I think it's a flex because, like, what are they trying to get out of this in this court case? Does everybody that's talking about these stories, do they want to see Puffy rot in jail? Is that what we're here for? Because I just think that that's unfair, and just knowing everybody, it just could have been done a different way. And now it's starting to worry me. And I honestly think that Diddy will get out, and I think that there's nothing here, right? I think they made their point, whatever they were trying to make. Your point is made. Now let Diddy out, free Diddy.
Wow, you think he's going to walk?
I think so, and I personally think it's going to happen faster than a lot of people think, because I think we're all starting to see what this is, even if you're on the other side of it. I mean, you know, the justice system is the justice system. Where does this fit in right as opposed to right and wrong? It's off, and I don't like it.
Here's my problem,
and I want to be vocal about it.
Right. So I've met Diddy a couple of times at social functions many years ago, and he was perfectly polite and nice to me, and we had a perfectly civilized conversation. One was an Oscars party, one was an event in London. I have to say, when I watched the video that was leaked of him attacking Cassie Ventura in that hotel corridor, I did think then, well, you're not the person I thought I knew from everything I'd read and heard. You're a very violent person, capable of beating up a woman. That is despicable. And if you're capable of that, and that's just what we saw on a CCTV bit of footage by chance, then what else are you capable of? What do you say to people like me who looked at that and go, well, this guy is a vicious nasty piece of work.
Listen, I was very hurt when I saw the video. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was very disappointed, and I still am. And my heart goes out to Cassie for me just watching that. Right? It's not okay, and there's nothing about that was okay. And I can't say but after that, because that's just what that is. And I feel the same way you feel. But on the top of what we're doing now, and even with the tape being altered, I heard, and they're not going to be able to use it probably in court because it was altered before it was put out, that puts a spin on it. It doesn't put the spin on what he did. But the altered tape, that as opposed to sex trafficking and a RICO, and now it's in this mafia setting, it just doesn't, they don't go together. If he was charged for something else that maybe had fit what we saw, we all kind of would understand what's going on. But the charges and what's being done, it's not okay.
I am the proud owner of 2 cats, which are named after 2 Arsenal football legends. Albeit stuff that most people may not want to engage in. I felt that when I interviewed that guy, the Punisher, that was a very credible witness and a very credible interviewee, actually. When did you last talk to Diddy yourself?
Wow.
Yeah.
I spoke to Diddy maybe a week and a half before it all went down. And we didn't talk long because, again, like, I love Diddy and I love the family. And when I was vocal about what happened, I guess they didn't take it as if I was supporting. And so the family and I kind of got, on the wrong page. But if you really look at what I was saying and what I'm saying now, is that stories are being created, and it's starting to feel like it's the world against Diddy. And I feel for him, you know what I mean? And I'm actually worried about him in this state now, because it's a dangerous world. And we're just seeing a lot of things unfold and power being played. And
what if you...
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and step out on a limb and say that it's safe to assume that Ray J is scared. Is he scared Diddy's going to get off, and now he's trying to big up Diddy and shouting for Diddy's freedom? Because it was just a few months ago that he was talking against Diddy, and that's why Diddy's sons wanted to beat his behind. Okay, he seems to have changed his entire attitude, and I find it all very interesting, Ray J, sir. Okay, you need to sit down somewhere. So here's an update. 11 minutes ago, Judge Arson instructed the jury that the questions regarding the destruction of the fingerprint cards and the answers given are irrelevant to the case, and this defendant and are not to be considered by you. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic now continues the direct examination of arson investigator Lance Jimenez. 7 minutes ago, Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic is finished with direct examination. Defense Attorney Mark Agnifilo is starting his cross-examination of the witness. Okay, that was from CNN. Let me see what's on Inner City Press. Okay, so judge says cross-examination. Agnifilo says there was a DNA hit on the glass bottle for female DNA, correct? Jimenez says yes. Agnifilo says, do you remember when the results came back? Jimenez says maybe 6 months. Agnifilo says the test on the bottle, it was important. He says yes. Agnifilo says, what does it mean, partial female DNA? Jimenez says, I have no idea. I was told that if we if we had a suspect, we could test against it. Agnifilo said, any other DNA on the bottle? AUSA says, objection. The judge says, rephrase. Agnifilo says, DX852, just for the witness. And I would imagine that's an exhibit that he showed the witness. Okay, DX852. Yeah, that's definitely an exhibit of evidence that he said only for the witness. So that means the jury or no one else in the courtroom saw it. Okay, so that's all we have for now, but let's keep listening to Ray J with his silly self. Hold on.
It's a circus act. I mean, how many more stories do we gotta hear? I mean, this is some really freaky stuff that I think it should be kept private, and it's just starting to get freakier and dirtier, and you know, you could just smell it in the room, and it's just not okay.
Did you ever attend the freak offs? These...
Now, Ray J isn't lying right there. Ray J isn't lying right there, honey. He said you could just smell it in the room. Honey, you could. Because when they were talking about that incident in the hotel room with the bodily fluids and stains and oil, honey, I know I smelled some badussy. Okay, I know I smelled some must. And when they asked Cassie what it smelled like, Cassie said musty, like body odor. Honey, I smelled it too. Didn't y'all? I'm just saying, honey, it's all nefarious. And Ray J talking about is diabolical the right word? No, beloved, nefarious is, because that's exactly what it was. Mama Joseph says queen. So it doesn't matter if the defense was the one who brought up the fingerprint to begin with. Why are they crying over the fingerprint line of questioning? Am I missing something? Well, they're crying over it, beloved, because they feel like they went too far into the details and that they implied, okay, without calling Diddy's name, there was an implication that if the evidence was destroyed, that Diddy himself or someone that he got to do it. That's what they're trying to say, that possibly Diddy had someone to do it. I mean, they didn't say that, but that was the implication. Okay? That was the implication. M 3 times 100 says, so is Cassie an innocent, queen? In my opinion, Cassie is a co-conspirator. And I have said that a myriad of times, that Cassie was an unindicted co-conspirator. Now, I do believe Cassie was a victim of some of Diddy's nefariousness, but at the end of the day, I think that she was perfectly complicit in some of these things. And here's why. Let's not forget that when she found out that Jonathan Oddie, and also, by the way, you all heard this here first, but when she said that, when she found out that Jonathan Oddie had a video of her that he took during a freak off, she threatened to kill him. She threatened to chop him up into pieces. She said, oh, I won't do it myself. I'll have someone to do it. So for someone to say such vile words, you have to ask yourself, what kind of mindset does this person have? Well, it certainly isn't one of a sweet and innocent person. Okay, so let's not play games. Okay, Cassie absolutely is not innocent. Okay, she did a whole lot of this stuff with Diddy. And I absolutely believe that, in fact, she wanted to have those freak-offs. I believe that she only got upset by the freak-offs when Diddy wouldn't make her his woman, his number one, and that he was still all in love with Kim Porter. And then when you think about it, you know that's the case likely, because even in 2018, when Kim Porter died, Cassie went to the funeral and she said that Diddy called Kim Porter his soulmate. And she thought to herself, well, what was our 11 years for? Okay? So she, quite frankly, is not innocent. She has some dirt on her hands too, in my opinion. Okay. Now, with that all been said, let's continue with Ray J's foolishness.
His infamous freak-offs.
Well, I attended a lot of parties with Diddy, but there was never a freak-off. Like, even the word freak-offs, right? We've never used that term whenever we went to a Diddy party. A Diddy party was where most people couldn't get in. And the top of the top, the A-listers are out on the scene. And if you don't have the proper invitation, or if you're not one of the who's of Hollywood, it's impossible to get in. Whatever door they're talking about, the freaky door, I never got an invitation, never knew it existed. And I feel like in my world that I'm in, and I like to party and have fun, at least I would have got an invitation.
There were two things, Ray J, that happened to you in close proximity I wanted to talk to you about. One was in October 2024. You've alluded to a bit of a falling out with Diddy's family. You got into a fight with Diddy's sons, Christian, Quincy, and Justin, outside a Halloween party. They were upset. It was reported about comments you'd made about their father. What can you tell me about that?
It got a little intense. You know, they approached me a couple times about just seeing me in a couple of the interviews I did. So this was the third time that they approached me, and so this time I was more aggressive and more defensive the first 2 times I kind of just let it go because I understand it's your dad and you feel a certain way. But the third time is where I kind of like went left and we kind of all had this really intense kind of like scuffle. But it you know, again, like I walked away and I think they were just trying to make their point as any sons would, you know, but luckily, you know, Chris was there to
Okay, so let's put Ray J on pause for a second so we can get the latest updates. Okay, now this is from CNN. Okay, they say, and this is from 6 minutes ago. Okay, on cross-examination, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo suggested that arson investigator Lance Jimenez contacted Capricorn Clark in March of 2012 after receiving test results that revealed partial female DNA recovered from the glass bottle. Jimenez disagreed, saying he doesn't believe the timing was related. Okay, now from 1 minute ago, the jury saw photos of a black glove in the backseat of Kid Cudi's Porsche. Arson investigator Lance Jimenez said that he didn't recall finding a second glove inside the car. Jimenez said that he didn't send the glove for DNA testing or collect it as evidence because Kid Cudi said that it was his driving glove. Okay, so he said it was his driving glove. Now, with that all being said, let's go to Inner City Press. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, so nothing from Inner City Press. Okay, so that's it. So let's go back to Ray J.
To stop it, and then we were able to get on the phone and talk about it as men and come to an understanding. But it was intense and it's mind-blowing because I mean I'm older, so it's like I can't, there's no way I'm gonna actually physically try to fight you guys. I've been knowing you guys since you guys were little. What are we doing? I mean, it's just, I left that night just feeling really.
Never sue the other driver after a car accident. There's a better way to get paid a way bigger check without having
awkward. And again, you know, you always got to be the bigger person, especially when you're the older person. So I hope I handled it correctly. Moving forward.
And Ray J, what was it? What was it you'd said about Diddy they particularly took objection to?
I think that they thought that when I said certain comments like asses are being taken in ways that nobody can explain, certain things I said went extremely viral, and I think they might have taken it out of context. So it happened like that. And most of the interviews I was doing were going extremely viral. And so I think they looked at it wrong. Looking at it now, I think they understand my point, and they knew I wasn't trying to take shots at Diddy. That's the last thing I would do, is do that. I just wanted to make sure that people knew how I felt, because that was the first few times I've seen them.
First of all, when Ray J said asses are being taken, what else could he have possibly meant? Ray J, how did they misconstrue that, sir? Please sit down somewhere. Okay, you were clearly poking fun at Diddy, saying that Diddy was out here being a whole booty bandit, sir. Okay, didn't you coin that phrase so many years ago when you got into it with Fabulous, if I'm not mistaken? Sir, please have several seats, okay? But I'm going to let you cook, because Ray J knows he's a liar who lies, honey. Please pay attention.
The video of him and Cassie. So at that point, I was still charged and upset. But now as we let this thing kind of play out and where we are today, there's a lot of glitches in the system. And I just think that we need to just chill. We need to let Puffy go. And this needs to be put to bed, and they need to just work their differences out privately, even now, and just move on. Right? We
Ray J,
all just had enough.
In November, November the 12th, 2024, you went on Instagram on your stories to say you'd survived an alleged shooting. Let's take a look at what you said.
It's just tried to shoot me and tried to kill me, nigga. And you want me to apologize? Fuck you.
Now, you said they tried to kill me and you want me to apologize. Fuck you.
Didn't nobody try to kill his arse?
That was a tough day. I really don't want to talk about that day too much because I don't want that day to happen again. And I was able to just kind of figure out what it is and what it was. And so for me, just for everybody's safety and for just having the information and just keeping it to myself, it's just better for my safety. But it was something that I don't wish on nobody, but just for my safety and just for everything that happened, I just don't want to talk about it because I don't want to relive it again. Or
if you have a 700 plus credit score, you qualify for Chase's new program where you could access up to
bring that kind of heat back up, and then it's happening again.
Sure, but just to be clear, did somebody actually shoot at you?
Oh, no. They didn't shoot me. It was at my truck. And when I was trying to stay in one place and let it die down, the place I was in made me leave and go right back out into the action. And that's when I was being vocal about it because I really needed to lay low. They didn't want me there anymore. So they kind of just pushed me out right back into the situation. And it's unfortunate because I don't want to be in that kind of situation, and I don't even want to have that kind of vibe around me. And that's when I just started doing my news show. And doing news is just a different kind of business, and it brings about so many people that you didn't know even existed, and it got a little scary. And so that's why I kind of calmed down from doing my news show, which I'm going to start it back up. But it just got a little hot in the kitchen, and it just wasn't worth it. And it wasn't worth, I got kids and the schools are tripping and the parents, and I just needed to have peace. And it's crazy when you have an opinion and when you believe in things and you do news. So, I mean, I know your job is probably super tough, and I'm sure people are mad all the time from so many different ways, so many different countries. So I respect what you do, and hats off, man, because it's definitely a dangerous business.
But I'm just trying to get in my head right. When you said they tried to kill me, who tried to kill you?
See, that's something that I don't want to get into because, again, if I do, now I'm back to the beginning of where we were. And so for me, I made promises. We cleared the air on certain things in Los Angeles, and everything is good now. So I just want to leave it at that. Just to be on a positive.
Some people, Ray J, as you know, some people were connecting what they thought were dots here. You had a massive altercation with Diddy's sons, and then several weeks later, someone tries to kill you. People think that maybe Diddy has something to do with what happened. Can you say that either way?
I know for sure that that's not what that was. And again, he's locked up and he's going through his own issues. I don't think he's worried about me at that level. But again, it is something that you don't want to experience and you don't want to kind of relive. You kind of want to keep a clean slate. And I'm learning as I go on how loud I can go and how much information I can give and how much information I can't. And I'm learning through the process. And that was definitely an eye-opener.
Ray J, in the TMZ documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, you said that multiple high-profile celebrities were paying alleged victims to keep their names out of the scandal. You didn't name anyone, but do you still believe that to be the case?
Yeah, I mean, I believe a lot of things are going on behind the scenes like that. And I said that just from experience of just my own life and how it goes when information is important and it shouldn't be leaked or put out. And this is what we'll give you, or this is what we'll do to you. It's like an either or kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's happening every day. And it seems like it's like a movie, and then people just talk about it, and it's like this just conversation, but it's real and it's scary and it's uncomfortable at times, but I think everything comes out when it's supposed to come out in the light. And sometimes people will do anything for it not to come out. Anything.
Yeah, that is
some
true.
of your favorite stars that you love and you look up to, you know, some people that people adore. Sometimes the other side is much darker than they think.
Yeah, I know that only too well from people in the Hollywood circles. Ray J, I really appreciate you coming on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Okay, you all. Ray J is sitting up here talking in riddles as if we're supposed to be tasked with figuring it all out. Okay, Ray J, you said a whole bunch of nothing. All right. And then when he told Pierce that he didn't want to talk about it, and Pierce continued to ask in a different way, I would say, man, didn't I just tell you I don't want to talk about that? Now move on. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, or I'm out of here. Ray J, please sit down somewhere, sir. Okay, please sit down somewhere. Now, that all being said, let's go to this video of Gene Deal where he talks about getting into an elevator with somebody. Hold on, honey. This is all messy, just so y'all know ahead of time. Let me put my overlay, honey, because I don't have permission to be using folks' videos, but I find it all interesting.
So this dude, I think it might be this cat from down here. I'm gonna look at it again, and if it is, I'm gonna like, yo, I'm like, you from Donut or Donut or Doo-Noo or Doo-Doo or wherever you fucking from? I'm gonna ask him down here right in the court. I'm trying to get on the elevator with him, yo. So it starts back at 1 o'clock. Let me hurry up and get up down here and get back in there. And I'm gonna holler at y'all. Thank y'all for the super stickers. Thank y'all for the chat. So
Okay, y'all heard that, honey. He was talking about Donut. He said he want to get in the elevator with Donut, honey. Please don't go down there and start no mess at a federal courthouse, honey, and get locked the hell up. Okay, please let's not do that. Okay, that's just not the thing to do. All right, not get in the elevator with him. Okay, Queen Sam said messy, and we're here for a queen. I know that's right, honey. I am too. But so anyway, honey, I digress. Okay, I absolutely digress. Okay, so now let me go to the next video. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Okay, I have a lot of videos on here. I'm trying to figure out. Do you all want to hear what Punisher had to say? Because Punisher did another interview. Do you all want to hear what Punisher had to say? Y'all want me to go to that video? I'm going to go to the video with Punisher, okay? While we wait for more updates to come in. We don't have anything since the last 13 minutes ago. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Punisher it is. Just remember, y'all asked for it. Okay, here we go. He's getting interviews everywhere. I started to interview him myself, but I think I've heard it all by now. Hold on, I'm waiting for these commercials to end.
His name, the Punisher, the jury. Sheree Hayes is his real name and one of the few witnesses to give an uncensored look inside Diddy's freak-offs. In 2012, the exotic dancer allegedly received a call from a woman requesting a striptease for someone named Janet, aka Cassie Ventura, and her friends. Hayes says he believes Cassie found him through his getpunished.com website. And at their first meeting, Hayes said Cassie told him her and her husband liked to create a sexy scene, one that her husband would eventually come out to watch. And during that first encounter, Diddy allegedly gave mostly subtle directions. The compensation for that rendezvous, $2,000. Under cross-examination, Hayes testified that Cassie did not appear uncomfortable during their encounters. He, quote, did not get any cues that there was a discomfort with what was going on over the 8 to 12 interactions they all had. Sheree said, the Punisher, Hayes, joins me now, and he's also the author of In Search of Freezer Meat. He joins us now. Sheree, welcome. It's been a week since you testified. First of all, I'm just wondering what the reaction has been like in your life, knowing that this is such a high-profile case, and here you are in the spotlight in this way.
Yeah, it's been like a whirlwind. You know, a constant outreach from media outlets like this, and just friends and family, people from junior high school actually reaching
Really?
out just randomly, you know, to check in and speak up. It's been a very interesting, trying week.
You've reflected, I think, in some time about what your testimony said and what is like in that courtroom. Can you tell me a little bit what it was like to be on that stand a few feet away from Sean Diddy Combs, who you obviously had been around before in these sexual encounters, but he was more of a voyeur at those times. What was it like being in the room in the courtroom?
Yeah, so I have to say, I thought going into it, I was pretty prepared and confident, but literally when I walked in the room, I got complete anxiety. Like my entire body was shaking. Whatever I envisioned or what I thought, because obviously you can't see anything, it was the tension and the magnitude of the moment was much, much deeper. So it was to some degree terrifying. Like I just could not, whatever I envisioned, it was just so much more that I was not mentally prepared.
You know, I mentioned that he was a voyeur during the sexual encounters. You were involved with Cassie Ventura directly in those rooms, as you've testified. Were you ever involved with Sean Diddy Combs? Did you two ever have an interaction in those sexual encounters?
No, actually, not one conversation, not even eye contact.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
Well, it was told to me immediately, like on the first encounter, that I was instructed to not look at him, not acknowledge him, not have any interactions with
By Cassie?
Yeah, by Cassie. So those were the instructions. So I did my best to follow them to the best of my ability because, you know, initially I did not know who they were. And so I just saw it as an opportunity. I see this stunningly beautiful woman and, you know, $2,000 for this type of interaction was, you know, kind of like a no-brainer in terms of it. So I wanted to follow the directions as much as possible. So there was literally no interaction, I didn't even look directly at him.
Because normally you are a dancer and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly. So,
okay.
Yeah, so this is nuance. It's not something that happens, you know, I've done thousands of parties. This is the only time I was propositioned with something like this. And it was in such magnitude, like we're in a Trump hotel. It's like these huge suites and you can tell this is a very high profile couple. So I just wanted to be as professional for the scenario as I would assume was required.
Did you ever travel outside of New York with them?
I did not.
When you were engaged in this encounter and intimate with Cassie Ventura, as you've said on the stand, you were asked about whether you had any notice or any idea how she felt about the interaction, whether she was consenting, whether she was uncomfortable in any way. You testified you did not feel as though she was uncomfortable at all. Can you explain?
Yeah, so there was always like, before the sexual activity, there was always like downtime. So I would be greeted by Cassie, kind of put in a room, and we would have casual conversation. You know?
About how long did that last?
10, 15 minutes, you know, and it would be, you know, consistent. How's work going? How's the parties? How's things? So it seemed like a very cordial, laid back situation. And I actually believed that the scenario was real. It was like her birthday. This was something they were doing as a couple that wasn't normal. I mean, that wasn't their norm. And I honestly thought I was the only person they were engaging with. So I had almost a belief that I was, wow, like this is a cool thing. Like I'm the person they're choosing for this kind of fetish type of environment. And
nothing seemed illegal to you or anything out of sorts?
Not even close. Like I didn't even get any thought of anybody being like under the influence of any drugs or anything. It seems like a very, for the circumstance, everybody was just normally in their right state of mind. And this was just something they did for sexual pleasure.
You never saw any violence?
Nothing close.
You know, interestingly, you say you haven't seen any violence, you didn't see anyone under the influence of drugs, and you didn't have any idea that she was not consenting in some way. Why do you think you were called to testify?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Like it's after the fact. I'm the only thing that I can.
Sitting down with Barbara Walters.
I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, Eric.
Kind of maybe think is, you know, there was directions, right? It was in my testimony, it was cleared that it was him, I guess, somewhat in control, not
so?
overbearingly. I mean, it was said to me this scene we were creating was for her husband, AKA him. So the only thing I can say is maybe they were trying to show another element of control. And even though in my case it wasn't forceful or aggressive, but it's still another dynamic that maybe they were trying to establish.
Did you ever see cameras or anything being filmed?
I did not. The rooms were always extremely dim and dark, just candlelit. So it was, if there were cameras, it would have to be some sort of infrared, low light scenario because it was.
Okay, so let's take a pause so we can go to the latest updates, beloveds. From 1 minute ago, Los Angeles fire arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified that after calling Capricorn Clark several times, her brother answered her phone and told the investigator to leave her alone. Jimenez said that he got into an argument with Clark's brother, who said she wanted nothing to do with me, nothing to do with the investigation. Isn't this interesting, considering her testimony yesterday? Jimenez also said that he made contact with Cassie Ventura's father, who was also a fireman. Her father told Jimenez that he'd let her know. Jimenez is off the stand. Okay, 2 minutes ago, prosecutors are now calling Deontay Nash, a friend of Cassie Ventura's, to the stand. Prosecutor Maureen Comey will question Nash on direct examination. Okay, so now let's see what they have at Inner City Press. Okay, so Inner City Press, this is from 5 minutes ago. Agnifilo says, and once Mr. Muscati told you it wasn't his glove, you didn't investigate the glove anymore, correct? Jimenez said, I did not. Now, mind you, this is Inner City Press. They're a little bit behind. Okay, so they're picking up where we left off last time with CNN about the glove that Kid Cudi said was his driving glove, and that's why they didn't further investigate it. Okay, so he says, you didn't investigate the glove anymore, correct? Jimenez says, I did not. Agnifilo says, nothing further. Judge says, redirect. The AUSA says, when did you speak with Mr. Muscati? Jimenez says, the same day. AUSA says, nothing further. Then the judge says, next witness. The government calls Deontay Nash. Are you here under subpoena? Nash says, yes. AUSA says, do you want to be here? He says, absolutely not. AUSA says, what's your work? Nash says, celebrity stylist. AUSA says, in 2008. Nash says, for Puff and Cassie. Okay, so this is Cassie's friend and stylist. AUSA says, how do you get hired to work for them? Nash says, through a Craigslist ad for Bad Boy Entertainment. AUSA says, this photo, is it fair? Is it a fair and accurate portrayal of how you looked at the time? Nash says, not even close. AUSA says, it's a glamour photo? Nash says, yes, I look amazing. Ha! Not you look amazing, honey. Okay, so that's the updates for now. So let's get back into the Punisher's interview.
Very dark.
Who paid you?
Always Cassie.
Did you ever see where the money came from?
I did not. Only one time, like I said in my testimony, we were actually engaging in sexual activity, and he threw a stack of $100 bills on the bed. That Cassie turned to him and asked him was everything was fine. And he just said, I'm enjoying it, in so many words. And I know that money was collected after the fact and given to me. So that would be the only scenario where I guess money came directly from him by way of, slamming it on the bed, like almost like how somebody would do at a strip club.
How, when you've reflected back on your testimony, do you think that your testimony was helpful to the prosecution or the defense in any way?
I mean, going into it, I always thought that because I saw no violence or any outward aggression, I always wondered if this was more beneficial to the defense. But I don't understand the angle of how they're trying to take my testimony and connect it to what they're trying to prove. It's very nuanced what constitutes a RICO and racketeering. And I don't know enough yet. I haven't heard enough to see if my testimony aligns with what they're trying to prove.
One thing that Cassie said on the stand was that she wanted Diddy to know that people were not disposable. And it almost sounded like she was talking collectively about everyone involved in these sexual encounters and these so-called freak-offs. Did you yourself ever feel as though you were either disposable or that you yourself were being trafficked in some way or prostituted?
No, not trafficked in some way or whatever. There was always pressure in terms of being disposable because obviously I'm there to create something like a scene, to create an environment. So at times where there was sexual pressure, you know, because it's out of my norm, I did have a feeling of, okay, I'm one, you know, scenario where if I don't perform the right way, if I don't create the right ambiance, then maybe I won't get called back. But that's the most pressure that I had. There was no indication of. I really believe they were just a happy couple, and this was a sexual fetish that they had.
Do you ever see them be affectionate during these freak-offs together?
I did not. They would never actually interact in front of me. There was like a kind of a cue where if he needed to speak to her or have some sort of direction with her, he would just stand up and leave the room. And if she saw that, she would follow him out. They would be gone 5-10 minutes. Then she'll come back and we'll resume for the most part. But no interaction in front of me. No even conversation other than his directions, which were subtle: move the light, turn your body, maybe put more oil. Those type of gestures in communication.
You said you wanted to, after your testimony, feel at peace with what you've said. Knowing what you do now about what Cassie Ventura has said about how she's felt about these freak-offs, what would you say to her if you could?
I would apologize. I would apologize because I had no idea, no indication what she was going through. And if, you know, obviously my involvement kind of furthered her suffering, you know, so just me knowing that as a man, you know, being raised by a single mom and a grandma, you know, just the thought of partaking in a scenario where a woman is possibly being abused is tough to hear. So, you know, I would just apologize to her and, you know, tell her that I was really remorseful and regret if I contributed to a bad experience for her.
Sheree Hayes, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I got air school.
All right, so I don't know about you all, but I like the Punisher. He seems like a stand-up gentleman. DJ Big Six says they may get the Punisher for tax evasion. No, sir, they absolutely will not. First of all, he may have actually claimed that money on his taxes, but even if he didn't, beloved, the statute of limitations on tax evasion, and in fact, most tax crimes, is 6 years. So no can do. It's about 6 years, so no. Okay, so with that being said, let's go to the latest update from 2 minutes ago. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey showed Deontay Nash, a celebrity stylist and friend of Cassie Ventura's, a headshot of himself taken during the time he was working for Sean Diddy Combs. He laughed and said no when Comey asked if that was how he looked at the time. He confirmed it was a glamorous shot and said, "Yes, I look amazing," prompting laughs throughout the courtroom. Everybody's got jokes, don't they? Because they said that guy David James, the former assistant of Diddy, was also cracking a few jokes. No less. So that was from CNN. Now we go to Inner City Press, where the AUSA says, did Mr. Combs make threats? Nash says yes, that he would beat her ass, that he'd send her SEX tapes out. AUSA says, how often would you say that he would beat her ass? Not the prosecutor cursing. Nash says quite a few. It drove her crazy. She would be super emotional. She might stay in the house for a few days. Okay. AUSA says, how often did Mr. Combs say that you could not go out with his permission? Go out without his permission? Nash says twice. The first time we went to a gay club with Kyle and Adrian. Then we went to her LA apartment. Puff called and told her that she better bring her ass to his house. She panicked. Sure, how did Diddy think he was? Diddy thought he was her daddy, honey. That's why he told her to call him Pop Pop, the same name that he called her. The same name that they basically called her. She called her grandfather. Okay, please pay attention. Measure Man said they already got it for tax evasion and tax lien. Sir, no, they didn't. If they did, the man would clearly be in jail. You go to prison for tax evasion. Let's not forget how many times Wesley Snipes went to prison. This man did not go to prison for tax evasion or tax liens, okay? You don't go to prison for tax liens anyway, do you? You can definitely go for tax evasion. Measure Man said he was running through them being a realtor, so he lost his real estate license. Sir, that man did not go to jail for tax evasion. That's what I will say. And I know that for a fact, okay? Because first of all, like I said, he'd be in prison. And another reason you know he didn't go is because if you are a convicted felon, which he would be had he gone, you could no longer be a stripper, okay? That's the rules. Strippers can't even get a permit to strip, okay? Let me just make sure that's the case in New York as well. Hold on. Hold on. Y'all just being here saying stuff that y'all don't even know, honey. Just saying stuff. Okay. Because I know in most places, okay, so here's what it says. New York's Fair Chance Act. The Fair Chance Act, also known as the Ban the Box in New York City and New York State, aims to reduce discrimination against individuals with criminal records for employment. Okay, now they say, depending on the nature of the felony conviction, particularly those related to SEX crimes or SEX offenses, might be seen as directly related to working in the adult entertainment industry. That might impact employment prospects. Okay, so if he had tax evasion, I guess he could still be a stripper. But at the end of the day, I guess you're right. He could be a stripper even if he had tax evasion. Okay, in the state of New York, that is. All right. So anyway, honey, with that all being said, so hold on. Who is this telling me I'm absolutely wrong, honey? Ty's Kitchen said you're absolutely wrong, Queen. No permits were needed in the 90s, honey. Yes, they were. Okay, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're absolutely wrong, Ty. Okay, I usually agree with you, but honey, please go. Matter of fact, let me just Google it, because I know darn well strippers needed permits in the 90s. Okay, and I'm about to prove it to you. And this wasn't even in the 90s, beloved. He wasn't a stripper in the 90s anyway. He was a stripper in the 2000s when he worked for Diddy and Cassie, around 2016, somewhere around there. So therefore, I don't know why you brought up the 90s, because that's irrelevant to my point. Okay? Now, with that all being said, let me show you the screen because when somebody says, Queen, you're absolutely wrong. Okay. Says, no, they weren't. I worked at Scores. Honey, I don't know what Scores is, but if you didn't need one at Scores, maybe they just let y'all work without permits, but I'm about to pull up the receipts. Okay. Thank you. Right, here we go. When somebody says I'm absolutely wrong, honey, that's what you really coming then. Okay, you can't just say you're wrong or let me correct you. You absolutely wrong. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. In the 1990s, some municipalities required licenses or permits for dancers performing in adult entertainment facilities. Okay, but the specific rules varied by location and were not universally mandated. Okay, so with that all being said, you may not have needed them everywhere, but you sure did need permits in most places. Okay, in most places. Now, if you worked at Scores and you didn't need permits, shout out to you. I never heard of Scores. It might have been a hole in the wall. Now, with that all being said, let me pull up another video for you guys. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, here we go. Okay, here is something on Capricorn clock. You know what I'm really getting tired of, you guys? What I'm really getting tired of is all this to do. This is the Breakfast Club with Lauren LaRosa. But listen, what I'm really getting tired of is the big to do over Kid Cudi's car. Okay? Over kid cut his car. Can we move on past the car? Okay, prosecutors, we get it. Diddy had the car blown up. But at the end of the day, can we move on to something else, please? Okay, now I'm going to put an overlay because y'all already know the Breakfast Club you will get hit with a copyright claim or strike. Hold on, let me put another one over there, honey, because I'm not even trying it today. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to skip past the music, hopefully. All right.
The previous personal assistant of Diddy's. She also came back to work for Diddy as like a head of marketing of some sorts for Sean John. She's had a few different roles because she's worked for him off and on since like 2011. But yes, so she's on a scene. They're running through like, you know, the Kid Cudi story, which she told a different story. The Suge Knight, which she tells a different story. The lie detector test. And then the defense, Diddy's team is trying to make the point of, okay, like, all of this stuff happened, and you say that, you know, your experience allegedly was so gruesome, and like, you know, you allege that you were kidnapped by gun and all these things, but
hold on, let me say something to Ty's Kitchen. Ty's Kitchen, I just looked up Scores. You say there were no permits needed until the early 2000s, and Scores was the top club. I'm not ashamed to disclose that I worked in that field decades ago. We made $5K a day. Beloved, nobody said you should be ashamed. Is anybody coming for you in the comments? Because I sure didn't. And if you made $5K a day, shout out to you, because you should be sitting pretty right about now. You should be a whole millionaire. But with that all being said, you said there were no permits needed until the early 2000s. Well, as I said, I just showed you the proof, honey bun. They had permits in the 90s, okay? That's what they had in certain places. Now, maybe not at Scores, but here's the thing. Scores is in Las Vegas. Okay, so that would make sense. You worked at a strip club in Las Vegas. I just Googled it, and Scores is absolutely in Las Vegas. And at the end of the day, Las Vegas even allowed people to have sex for money back then. So they had the whole bunny ranch, is all I'm saying. So I wouldn't be surprised that if anybody didn't need a permit, it would be people who worked and danced in Las Vegas. But absolutely, pretty much everywhere else, they had permits in the 90s, as I just showed you, to prove my point. I always drop receipts when somebody wants to debate, because the queen always knows what she's talking about. And when I don't, I stay quiet. Now, let's get back to the nefariousness.
Let's go down the timeline of you wanting to work with Diddy again after all of these things. So you leave you're terminated around like after 2012. She alleges that she was terminated because she finally took a vacation. They asked her, Diddy's team asked her, well, where were you on vacation? She's like, I was in the south of France with Rihanna. And they're like, okay, they're trying to paint the picture like you had a really good lifestyle. You just want that back, and you didn't get that back allegedly. And that's why you're here, and that's why you're doing all these things. And she's like, you know, they bring up an email to show that she was in conversations about being upset that they were upset that she took this vacation. She says she gets back and she was terminated. Now, after this happened, she says that she was unable to find consistent good work at all. She's alleging that Diddy blackballed her. She says that at one point, she went and sat down in a meeting with Jimmy Iovine, who told her, like, look, this is supposed to be a meeting about allegedly supposed to be a meeting about a job opportunity, but I'm here to tell you to leave that Diddy stuff alone. Like, because she had came out and said, hey, this is what happened to me. She had filed civil suit. She was going to take legal action. And she says that people were coming to her telling her not to do it. She alleges Jimmy Iovine. She also says that Andre Harrell and Diddy pulled up on her at one point at the CAA meeting that she was having. But that conversation set like a foundation of she couldn't get work. So Diddy's team now is trying to prove that like Diddy had nothing to do with that. You just weren't able to get work. So they're like, wait, we're going to show you this recommendation letter that he wrote for you in just as recent as 2021. They bring up the letter and they're like, you know, Miss Clark, can you take a look at this letter? Refresh your memory so we can have a conversation about it. And she looks and she's like, that's not from 2021. That's from 2012. And the defense attorney like stops. And we all like, I'm just like, oh, maybe they got the dates wrong, whatever. And then
Okay, so let me just stop it for a second. I'm going to stop it for a second. I'll get back to it. Okay, I promise you guys I'll get back to it. So here's the thing. Ty said that Scores is in Manhattan. Okay, so they have more than one. Okay, you said Scores is in Manhattan. Agent Smith said scores started in New York City in the 90s. Okay, well, they absolutely needed permits to work, for you to work legally. Okay, and I'm about to prove my point again. Okay, y'all can y'all see that? Google it yourselves. It says, yes, Score Strip Club in Manhattan, like other businesses, would have needed various permits and licenses in the 1990s to operate legally. Okay. Okay, now can we get back to business? I'm just saying. Some of these strip clubs don't obey the rules. Some of these strip clubs don't ask people for permits, and some of them absolutely hire people that are underage. I know a girl who was 16 years old by the name of Caramel. I can't remember her real name, but it was all over the news that she got hired at a club here in Atlanta, and she was only 16, but she had a fake permit, or a fake ID rather, saying that she was 18. But they told her she didn't need a permit. Now, of course, she did need one, but they allowed people to go under the radar. And so, that all being said, she ended up getting killed by her alleged pimp. Well, we think that's who did it. You know, that's what was reported in the media. They said that she was found dead in an abandoned house, cigarette burns, and all of that. And her grandmother was very upset with the club and wanted to sue. Okay, so all I'm saying is, whether you got a permit or not, these places were supposed to have permits. They didn't always go by the rules. They also let people have sex in strip clubs that you're not supposed to do either. But let me continue. Hold on, let me go back to the share. Okay, here we go. Now she's talking about Mark Agnifilo.
You know, Mr. Combs wrote for you in 2021. Again, they're trying to say to her, there's no way you were blackballed, allegedly, if he's helping this letter, you. Right? Exactly, right? And she's like, no, this letter is from 2012. This is from the settlement that happened between us in 2012. Now,
hold on, I promise I'm gonna stop after this, you guys. Let me say this, okay? Ty's Kitchen said they were mob owned. Girl, well, you already know they didn't make y'all get permits. If they were mob owned, honey, back in the 90s, John Gotti was running stuff, wasn't he? So yeah, that would make all the sense. There was a club here in Atlanta called the Gold Club that was mob owned too. Unfortunately for them, they ended up getting shut down when some of the mobsters got into some trouble. But yeah, so that makes sense. Okay, now let's go back to Lauren.
And we all in the court like,
settlement. Atlanta homeowners, are you wondering about what your home is actually worth? Because you go on Zillow and you see a number, then you go on Realtor.com and you see a
boom, look at y'all.
Tell them what the settlement was.
So the settlement, there was she had claimed that she was, blackballed. She couldn't work. She was so stressed from work that she was losing hair and all these things, right? And it amounted to her not having a job. She alleges that her home was taken. She wasn't able to provide for herself. Right. Her son, who was autistic, she wasn't able to provide for her son. So she was like, I need something. I'm trying to.
Okay, so let's go to an update. Let's go to the updates. We'll get back to Lauren. Ty's Kitchen says Russian and Italian mob owned at the same time, so no permits needed to evade taxes. Now, Ty's Kitchen, I knew you were nefarious. Okay, I knew you were nefarious, honey. Okay, now you don't work for the mob, honey. Let me quit trying to go in on you, because you might still have some connects, okay? To the Russian and the Italian. And then Agent Smith says the Albanian mob, honey. I can't get down with that, okay? Y'all got me more scared than I am of Diddy. Okay, y'all talking about mob ties and all this. But anyway, let me continue. Okay, so here is the next bit of information, and this is from 7 minutes ago. Deontay Nash is describing sometimes that he said Sean Diddy Combs threatened Cassie Ventura. Nash testified that on multiple occasions he heard Combs tell Cassie that he would beat her A. Okay, this is from CNN. We already got this same thing from Inner City Press, but I'm going to read it anyway in case they gave us some extra tidbits. Okay, so he says he heard Combs tell Ventura that he would beat her A. They put A, they didn't say the word. Ventura would be super emotional about these incidents. She would cry. Sometimes she would just stay in the house for days and go in a cocoon. Okay, Nash said that he heard Combs making other threats toward Ventura, including telling her that he would not release her music and threatening to get her parents fired from their jobs. Damn, Diddy, you doing all the most. Okay, Combs also threatened to send sexually explicit videos of Ventura. And Nash said Combs would threaten not to release Ventura's music anytime she did something he didn't like. Honey, he clearly had her career on pause. Okay, 5 minutes ago, Deontay Nash, a celebrity stylist and friend of Cassie Ventura, said he had to send all photos of Cassie Ventura's outfits to Combs for approval. He would pick out which ones he liked, and that was usually the one they went with. And isn't that the same thing Capricorn testified to? Honey, Diddy is a whole hot mess. 4 minutes ago, stylist Deontay Nash said that he attended a party in 2014 with Cassie Ventura. She looked bomb. Her hair was done. When they arrived, Nash said Sean Diddy Combs grabbed him by the jacket and lifted him up, honey. Nash testified that Combs told him Ventura's hair needed to be worn up. Nash then asked people for hairpins and told Ventura to go to the bathroom with the other staff to fix her hair. Nash said Combs admitted to him later that night that Ventura's hair looked better down. Well, Diddy, why would you make him change? What an a-hole, honey. Diddy is a whole heart-arse mess. I don't even know what to say about him at this point. Diddy, you need to go to prison, okay? Just for being nefarious, okay? Jay Gray said, hold on here. What have I gotten myself into? Jay Gray said, Queen, be careful. They will send Guerrero and Vladimir to look for you. Okay, I don't need any drama, honey. Please don't come for the Queen. Okay. Ty's Kitchen said, I was young, ma'am, and most of us were sweet, focused, young women, no rugs or tattoos. We were about our business. There was nothing nefarious about us. It was different back then. I bet it was, honey, because these people today, these youngsters, they just do whatever and however, get flued out and all sorts of things, honey. Don't even realize they could be walking right into a trafficking thing. And speaking of that, let me tell you all a story after we get caught up. Okay, I got to tell you all about, y'all need to be careful out here, ladies. Okay, y'all need to be real careful, honey, because there's some nefarious things going on, and I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. Now, anyway, goes on to say, the jury has been dismissed for lunch. Okay, it's 12:30. They'll be coming back at 1:15, and so will I. But in the meantime, stylist Deontay Nash testified that Combs told Cassie Ventura that her mixtape, Rockabye Baby, could go on streaming platforms if the free download release went well. Nash testified the mixtape was the top mixtape in 2013, but the music never sold online. The jury has been dismissed for lunch until 1:15 p.m. Nash will continue testifying on direct examination after break. Okay, so there you all have it. I'm going to show you all a video when we come back from the break about people being trafficked and how sneaky these people are that are doing it when you go out of the country. Okay, so you all need to pay attention. All right. So with that all being said, everyone please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Are people going in on Ty in the Ty's Kitchen in the chat? Please don't go in on Ty. Okay. Please don't go in on Ty for what you used to do, honey. At the end of the day, let us not pass judgment, because in fact, all of us have things in the closet that we don't want divulged. Okay, now would any of you want to be sitting up there on trial like Diddy and having your SEX capades all brought out to the forefront? I guarantee you I would not. Okay. Queen Sam said, Queen, what about the 3 teens who broke into a man's house and were shot and deleted? Say what? Honey, I got to look into this. This all sounds nefarious. I'll look into that too, okay? Ty's Kitchen said, y'all can't come for her. Okay. Now, that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. I will see you all back promptly at 1:15. Okay. Be here or be square. All right. With that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. All right. And I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Sold all in my skin. God God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got